right, welcome to Acoustic Chef. I'm starting this today, baby. What you talking about? Welcome to Acoustic Chef. This your boy Capel.
This is Ebony.
The D Will. Yeah, so
Hey, Gina.
how you doing? How
Hey
y'all doing
Regina,
this
how you
morning?
doing?
Good. I know we're going to talk about some heavy things today, but I wanted to start off by highlighting one of my favorite Black businesses, if that's okay.
Let's do
Yeah,
it.
go ahead.
My friend, her name is Christy Brown. She lives in Atlanta, but she has this company called Dipped Sweets Boutique.
Yeah,
And I don't know if y'all can see that, but she makes these caramel apples, kind of like the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory, but hers are better.
yeah.
This is a strawberry shortcake crunch apple, and I know it's hard to see, but
It sounds amazing.
it is amazing.
She has a
Like,
website.
she does, and she has a store on Etsy. It's called Dipped Sweets Boutique. This is another one she sent me. She ships also, so they're treats. They're apples. They're chocolate covered Rice Krispie treats, and she does themes. She did a whole like Beyonce Black is King theme, and it's all on her Instagram and her Etsy store, so you can order from her as well. But I ordered apples and I gave them as gifts, and people were like, where did you get those?
For
Like
real?
we were over here ready to fight over the last piece of this apple.
That's
So
what's up.
that her treats are so good, and it's Black owned business, and she makes all of her stuff. She makes her own caramel, and she makes her all of the toppings and everything. She makes those
Damn.
herself. She does strawberries. Yeah, check out her Etsy store and her Instagram, Dip Sweets Boutique.
Man, so
I definitely will.
she a caramel.
Pretty much, like other people come to her to buy her caramel because it's how she makes it. And I don't even ask. I'm
Man.
just like, here's my money, give me the treats. So, and I don't share either. So, like, I may bring some to work, but please, Capel, don't ask me for any of my treats because
I don't want none of your treats.
I mean, people have
No,
been
just playing.
offering you food and
Nah.
stuff all week.
And I've been turning them down. You know what? You being funny. I know exactly what you're talking about. We're not gonna go there though. We can't talk about that on this show.
Okay, we won't.
So Dip Sweets Boutique.
Dipped Sweets
Definitely.
Boutique.
Dip
Yes,
Sweets. Okay. Let me make sure I write that down
so
correctly.
good.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
definitely check that out.
them caramel apples be good. It sounds like hers probably have a very unique flavor since she's using everything like homemade. That's
She
pretty. That's
did.
pretty
She
impressive.
I hate oh, go ahead, Gina.
And she has different, like that other one was like a key lime. And then they all have really cute little names too, but they are all so good. Like I couldn't even decide which one was my favorite, so I just order a bunch of them, and then I eat off and they last as well. Like they'll
For
last
real.
in your refrigerator up to a week.
Oh, that's what's
So
up. I hate caramel apples, man.
they're
Cause
so
they
good.
like
These
Oh,
are so
they're
good.
amazing.
Well, see, I don't like them because it
Get
got
stuck in your
like
teeth, huh?
nah, cause you got the candy stuff, nuts, all that type of stuff on the outside, and you take one bite and it's this is good, but then when you get to the apple part, like the inside, you know what I'm saying? There ain't no more of that stuff.
You
You
ain't
gotta
eating
eat
it
it a certain
right.
way.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
ain't eating it. You
And
have
you
to
can cut it.
slice it
Yeah.
and then eat it by the slices, so
Yeah.
you still got all the toppings in every bite.
You eat
Yeah.
your
Okay.
caramel
All right.
apple like kids eat pizza. They scrape all the toppings off the top and they just add the bread at the bottom.
And leave
You
Yeah.
the
can't
rest
eat around. You can't eat the outer layer. That's it, man.
I'm trying to. I'm
It's like
trying
eating
to.
icing on the cake. You still gonna get to the cake. You had the icing,
I want to
so you
bite
have to
into
slice
it.
it.
I want to bite into it like a regular apple, and then I'm stuck with just regular apple at the
apple.
end. Nah, that's all. Man, I checked out Gemini Man last night for the first time. That was my first time seeing it. Hey, that
The
was
Will
pretty.
the Will Smith movie. That's the Will Smith movie, right?
Hey, that was pretty. It was fire.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
good
it is
movie.
pretty good. I saw it a while ago. It was
I
real
think
good.
I think they're gonna get better with the what is it CGI or whatnot.
You know what? That's
It had some
that's what I was about
parts.
to say. They didn't have some CGI movies before where they actually look human.
Yeah,
Like this dude looked literally he looked like a goddamn
like a CGI.
like an animated like you know how they had them like lifelike animated looking movies. He
Yeah,
looked like that in a human with everybody else looking human. I feel like they
Yeah.
could have did that a little bit better. I feel like they
Right.
I
had
think.
movies where they've done that before and they look better than that.
But the
I
plot and everything was good because y'all,
oh
Yeah.
y'all
that
know
was
how I feel
that
about Will
was
Smith. I love
Yeah,
fire.
him.
it was a good movie. It
Yeah, it
was.
was a good movie. It was. I
You
liked
know,
it.
I
Y'all
was
word
thinking.
for it. I'm gonna watch it.
I was thinking like it'd have been a even crazier plot twist if Will would have had like if it had been somebody else, like a old man or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like instead of him, like
So three
somebody
of
else.
them. You said
Nah,
three
nah,
of them and an old man, or what you mean?
like just an old man too. Like maybe I don't know when he retired or something. Maybe he just went somewhere and saw a dude that looks just like him. So they been cloning him. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
he maybe he's the clone. You know what I'm saying?
that would have made an interesting
Very
ending
interesting.
to bring another movie back, a part two.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I thought but you say that they have other movies with to me those other movies look like say like Shrek or whatever. You have people on there that even though it's a cartoon, you have people that look and have the same functions of humans and stuff like that. And then say like the Polar Express was when they was kind of like experimenting at the beginning and stuff like that or whatever. But I thought like what other movie could you can you think of that you talking about like where they did the CGI better with like just a human, not no cartoon or not some other type of animation or something like that or whatever.
Well, they use that
Shit, I don't know.
technology in the Matrix, right? But the Matrix, didn't they use some of that? That was probably one of the first, like back in the late '90s, early
But
2000s.
but see,
Avatar, I know that's cartoonish, but
yeah, but see at the same time, I think it's kind of like Avatar was an entire created world, so it's like everything CGI.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
the problem is Will was doing the movie, or they filmed the movie like with regular scenes, like in real life, and then tried to add CGI into it versus an entire CGI world, which may be a little bit harder because at the end of the day, I think it's just the lighting and fitting, getting the lighting and stuff like that correctly or whatever. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Because the whole like I think the dark scenes you couldn't really tell or whatnot, but then some of the light scenes when like he was in like especially like at the end you could tell, but had to power through that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean, the thing that I think probably makes it more difficult than the other movies, and I can't really think of a movie off the top of my head, is the fact that it was him and he was younger.
yeah, yeah.
And
That
so
was
they was
super
trying
dope.
to mimic, trying to create somebody that really existed, but in a younger version of them. I mean, but I mean, I can't think of nothing right now. But I know there've been movies where they've had a CGI character that looked better than that, but it wasn't the same premise of it being the same person. So maybe that would have
You
something
gonna
to
have
do with
to
why it looks so
you
bad.
gonna have to you gonna have to bring it next. You gonna have to like do your research because I want to know. I want to see what you're talking
Oh
about.
nah, see that's not how research work. Like I don't research for other people. Like I said it,
Right.
but I'm not trying to prove it. Like I just think it's out there. If you really want to know, you come back and tell us next week, partner.
Yeah.
Nah, that's not how it works. If you say it, then you got to prove it. Nah,
anyways,
before we even go continue to go deeper or whatever, what else is new? What y'all got before we dive in or whatever?
The stuff that we're gonna dive in to. That's all that's
All
been
right,
on my
so before
mind.
we before we dive in or whatever, I was gonna ask like, what's y'all what do y'all put? I don't know if y'all if Gina, cause I don't know, maybe Ebony, but where do y'all put Rick Ross like on y'all list of lyricists or entertainers, rappers, whatever?
I mean, I enjoy his music. I think he has great music, great beats, great lyrics. I don't think when someone asks me who's my top 10 rapper, I just
Yeah,
don't. I don't think, oh, Ross. I do think he's talented. I think he
yeah,
brings that ambiance, that presence, that boss feeling. When I listen to his music, I feel like I'm a boss, the biggest boss.
straight up.
So I definitely love the melodies. I love the music. Some things are questionable, in the past, some
So
lyrics, but
if all right, so just off the cuff, you probably wouldn't put him in your top 10, but when you think about it though, could he be in your top 10?
um, if you say in the top 10 of a certain time
Like
period, then yeah,
what?
but
Oh,
not
okay,
my top
okay,
10.
sorry, all right, I feel you. What about y'all?
nah,
I'd
I
say the
like
same
Ross.
in a certain time period
Yeah,
for a certain type of music. It's a very small category, and he's probably there by with only a few others. But he's not the first person I think of when I think of
Yeah,
like top lyricists and things like that.
I
I
mean,
feel you.
Rick Ross remind me of like a like somebody like Tracy McGrady in the NBA. Like when he was at his prime, you're like, man, this boy cold. But you never
Yeah.
thought he was gonna be the greatest that ever lived, or even in the conversation of the greats. He got talent. Rick Ross got talent. He put together some great metaphors, got some good lyrics or whatever. And he got some songs that I really like that I still listen to this day.
Yeah,
But he's not in my top 10. I can't even tell you who my top 10 is, but I guarantee you he's not in my top 10.
man, I feel that. I feel what y'all saying or whatever, but it's like when I think about like I don't think he's the greatest lyricist by far. You know what I'm saying? Like you say, he got some dope metaphors and like Ebony say that boss talk is just like if you know that's it's super dope. But
Mm-hmm.
his music though, you can't deny that he got some of the best music.
He does have some
Like
great
period.
music. Yeah. But if you were to tell me, like, and I guess it comes to my age, when I think of top lyricists as somebody that if you have no beats, no songs, you can put them in a room together and they can go
Yeah.
at it. And I don't know if it's because of a freestyle mentality that I
Uh
have,
huh.
but I guess I just wouldn't think that he could go toe to toe to somebody. Now, his music, his mastered music could go toe to toe with somebody, but could he get in a room and go toe to toe to who I think are my top lyricists?
Yeah.
No.
So like a lot of people would put Nas up there, and I don't. I love Nas. I've
Yeah.
been to the Powernomics tour. I thought Nas held the Powernomics tour down. I would have preferred to see him over Lauryn Hill because he highly disappointed me. But Nas is one of those top guys that a lot of people would put as one of their top lyricists, top MCs and stuff like that. But
His
I
music
don't know,
doesn't
man.
translate.
His
Yeah.
music don't translate. So
Yeah,
I
he doesn't have the best music, but I think that when he does hit, is hit, just like Ether, Ether is that was that whole battle, that was great. But it's just like when you can't, I've never had a Nas album where I could listen to and not press fast forward, next
or
song,
skip
next
to the
song.
next song.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I enjoyed him in concert, him and Lauryn Hill. I think I saw them together, and
yeah,
I
yeah,
really enjoyed it. But um,
Yeah, it all comes down to like what people determine is like the criteria for being the greatest. Like I think the people that put Nas in there, they think more about his consciousness of his
yeah.
music, like what he's
Straight
actually
up.
saying. Because Nas could give you like 3 or 4 bars that don't even rhyme. You know what I'm
Or
saying?
he give you
For
a whole
you know what
16
I'm
or
saying?
so.
And but what he's saying in those bars is like some real stuff. So people just love Nas because of that. But on top of that, he does have a lot of good hits. I think it's more of a longevity thing with him. He's been in the game for so long. He was a lyricist. He does have a lot of great hits. He got a lot of songs that I wouldn't even like listening to simply because the beats are just terrible. But
Yeah.
it's kind of
His
like
new joint, y'all got to check his new
not go
joint
ahead.
out. His new joint is dope. I'm talking about this. It's super fire. And he got
Yeah, I
a joint
listened to
called
it.
what's it called? Black Ultra Black. That's off the
I
chain.
I listened to the song. I thought
Ultra
I
Black.
liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. I watched the video too, and I'm not like a video watcher, but I did like it. And then it led me like down this rabbit hole looking at other stuff because there was a line in there about Doja
Oh,
Cat.
about Doja Cat. Yeah.
Yeah, and she responded to it, and I was like, Lord, why am I going down this rabbit hole? But I do like the song.
she's
Yeah.
canceled.
Yeah,
She's
pretty
canceled.
much.
I was asking because I was when I be riding and stuff, I be listening to different folks or whatever, and I've been in the past lately, and I don't know, man. Ross just he a beast. Like he like Deep in the Rap is a classic album. Triller is a classic album. He got some classic albums. Teflon Don, he got classic albums. Like, but I can't get past Cocaine Life. That's probably like my favorite Rick Ross song or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
anyway, salute to Rose. So
Hey, and you know what? Can I say I just got a new dog? I had two French bulldogs earlier. They passed away this year
I miss
actually. But,
Bentley.
I
Bring
know,
Bentley back.
right? So I had a Yorkie named Bentley for like 14, 15 years before I had my child, and then he passed away. But then I got two French bulldogs, which I fell in love with. Some, sad circumstances. They passed away like during COVID, both of them. But now, last week we got an English bulldog, which this is very different because he snores and farts a lot. And when he came, his name was Bentley. The people that gave him to us,
For
his name was
real?
Bentley. So we had to change his name. He didn't know his name anyway, so we changed
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So he's big. So we named him Rose. So I'm gonna send y'all a picture of him. And then not just because he's big, it's like he's a boss. He's a
The
boss.
biggest
And
Yeah,
dog. That's
yeah, yeah.
it's because he's a boss. Okay, Ricky, I know you listen to this podcast, and I don't. It's because he's a boss, and the color of his coat is like champagne, so it's like a play on
yeah.
words, rose.
Oh, that's what's
But
up.
yeah,
He the
Rick
biggest
Ross
dog
looked
thus
like
far.
he probably Rick Ross looked like he probably snore and fart a lot too. So you know.
ah,
Oh
the
That's
boy.
comments
messed up.
of Capel do not reflect Acoustic Chef.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Disclaimer.
Those are my comments. And if Rick Ross hit this, and you know that I know that we doing something right.
Right.
Hey Ross,
Ricky, come on the show and
yeah.
refute this. Go to battle. Go toe to toe with Capel.
Yeah, tell Capel he can't eat no more lemon peppers at Wingstop no more, Ross. But anyway, on a more serious note, serious or whatever, you know what I'm saying? We had some craziness, some bad things happen this week, some sadness, some just outrageous stuff happen or whatever. What what are we talking about, y'all?
So with so much, Breonna Taylor. Um, we got the official verdict, right? Nothing that I don't think that we didn't
Not
expect.
surprised.
Yeah, we're not surprised, but it doesn't hurt less, right? Because it's like a slap in the face. So Attorney General of Kentucky, what's his name, Daniel Cameron, he held a press
Mhm.
conference to say that none of the police would be charged in the death of the wrongful death of Breonna Taylor, but one would be charged for the bullets that went into one of the neighbors' apartments. Now, bullets went into multiple, at least two families' apartments, but only one family's apartments are we talking about charges for. So let's talk about it.
So he was charged for the bullets that missed Breonna Taylor,
Wanton
not for
Yes,
the
endangerment.
ones that hit her, but for the ones that missed.
the
Yeah.
ones that missed. Yeah,
I don't
So
yeah.
even know what to say.
the name of the charges is that they charged him with was wanton
Wanton.
endangerment. So according to the Kentucky statute, someone is guilty of wanton endangerment in the first degree when under circumstances manifesting extreme indifference to the value of human life, he wantonly engages in conduct which creates a substantial danger of death or serious physical injury to another person, but
Mhm.
not to Brianna, to her neighbor.
Yeah, and not even to Kenneth Walker. You know, the bullets that went into there, that's wanton
Yeah,
endangerment. You know, wanton endangerment to me were the false information that they utilized to procure the warrant for her because she was supposed to be a soft target anyway. And we've talked about this on shows before where they followed her. They knew her routine. They had been following everybody for a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
They could have arrested her on her way to work or brought her in for questioning. She was a soft target. There was no reason to go to her apartment with a battering ram. If you and they claimed they thought she was there by herself. So if you think that a girl is there by herself, and it's not that I think women are weak because we're not, but you're going to take this level of force after midnight to someone where you think it's one person. And based on the case files that we read before, her sister, I believe, was living with her, and she just happened to not be there that night. So why did you assume that she was by herself? So it's a lot to that, you know, and it's ridiculous. And a soft target is someone where even if let's just say we agree with the warrant, which I don't, you're supposed to make a lot of noise downstairs, have the megaphone, hey, come out, knock on the door.
Right.
There's no reason for no knock. And
Mm-hmm.
this lie about, oh well, we knocked. Well, why did you go through the extreme to get a no knock warrant? You don't get a no knock and say, oh, I changed my mind. I decided to knock today.
yeah.
They didn't. That's because they didn't knock. They had no plans to. It was a surprise. They wanted them to be surprised, and that's what happened. But I don't. I'm not surprised about this whole thing, and I'm sad, and you know, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I almost don't know what else we can do. Like, what else can we do?
Until we ready to fuck shit up, you
I
know.
think that's what's going to have to happen. Like, really, not just burning buildings down, but like arming ourselves and walking the streets, like, like the Black Panthers, for real. And then everybody, and then being unified about it. Not some Black people going, "Whoa, I'm not." I think we need to come together, or else nothing's going to change. Like, if there's a real threat, an imminent threat, then I think maybe people will start listening and paying attention.
Will we?
Otherwise,
And what was Kenneth Walker supposed to do? I see a lot of people blaming him about, oh, he shouldn't have shot at the police. But I mean, why isn't it thought of that he stood his ground? Like we're always talking about stand
Looking
your
for
ground
somebody
when
to
it's important,
blame.
right? And I saw in the news, and I'm gonna shut up. But I saw in the news yesterday where this woman was raped, and I don't know if it was here in Houston, because she opened the door for someone that identified themselves as a police officer. It might have been Pasadena. I don't know what part, but believe it was in Texas.
Yeah.
So even if they said, "Hey, open up as police," if it's 12 a.m., what are you supposed to do? Like, put yourself in the mind of a person. I wouldn't open the door because I'm thinking they shouldn't be at my door.
So I feel incredibly like I don't even know I have the words to really just talk about how I feel about Breonna Taylor and what she had to go through and her family had to go through in the case itself. And I think I said this when we talked about those documents that were leaked. Like I
Mm.
said, I see what's about to happen. I see what they're gonna do. Those documents were leaked on purpose, so people could go ahead and draw their opinion, so they could try to like make it seem as if, oh, she was involved in something she didn't deserve to be involved, that she shouldn't have been involved in, and if she wasn't involved in that, she wouldn't have been a victim. Blah blah blah. We already knew that that's what that was for. Yes, and it was expected, like y'all said. We knew this was coming, but like you said, Ebony, it doesn't make it any easier to deal with. Having to actually hear it that the a police officer not going to be charged. But I mean, like I said, I don't have any words. I'm just kind of like pissed because this is something that just continuously happens. It happens all the time behind closed doors. But
Straight
when it
up.
Yeah.
happens in the public light like this, when
Right.
you have celebrities, when you have other public officials in other parts of the country, when you have people all over the country and world saying justice for Breonna Taylor, when it's so clear for the eyes of millions of people that this was a wrong against a person who was innocent and that the people who did it should be punished, and they're able to get away with it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like what kind of words can you say? What can you say to bring light on this situation? So I have no words to really express like how bad this hurts. I have no words to express. I have no words of hope as far
Yeah.
as this situation outside of what I want to talk about, moving, past the situation, which is voting, which I don't want to get into that because I don't want to take away from just being able to express about how we feel about Rihanna right now. But I will say this, like, these laws do have to change though. They do. And I feel like that's the only direction that we can go is not voting. I'm not talking about for the damn president of the United States. Like that vote, while it's important this election because of who's in office and we just need to have a change in that position, the most important part of the voting is coming from the local elections. So just
Yeah.
check this out. In Kentucky, they have open carry, they have stand your ground laws, and then they have no knock warrants.
Yeah.
That should not even be possible.
Yeah. It's all
Because if you
conflicting.
have stand your ground laws and you have a no knock warrant, if you bust into somebody's apartment, by law you've given that person the right to protect themselves. But a no knock warrant, they don't know who the hell's coming in their house.
Yeah.
With police officers who don't have to be dressed as police officers for a no knock warrant. That makes no sense as a justice system to have three laws like that in place. That's a recipe for murder. That's a recipe for people losing their lives. and that's why we have to, these things have to change, and the only way that changes is if we go to the polls and vote the people in that believes in what we believe in, that's saying the same rhetoric that we want to hear, and then holding them accountable for it. And they have
Yes.
people that want to make these changes.
Right.
It's just that these elections that happen every 2 years, people don't go to vote for those. They don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody want to focus on this major every 4 year election. But
In the
again, I'm gonna get back
primaries, right?
into that. Yeah, I want to get back to into that when we move into voting. But as far as the Breonna Taylor situation, it's I hadn't even really talked about it because once when the verdict came out, I was like, for 1 second, I was like, oh, they charged one person. Okay, well maybe that's a good thing. But that was before I knew the details and knew what the charge was for. And I was like, nah, this is not a win. It's not a win at all. It's actually worse than a loss
Yeah,
because you
definitely.
charge, I mean, I would have still been upset, but if I would have expected more. I mean, the expectation would have been they just got off. You actually charge them for wanton endangerment. You actually
Of a
feel like
wall.
the possibility of them shooting into another apartment is what the actual crime was, not the crime of actually murdering somebody.
And on what basis? There's um, 12 witnesses that said they did not hear an announcement. There's one that said they did hear an announcement, but that was after being interviewed for the third time. They changed their statement. The third time they said, I think I did hear them announce themselves. So you are taking the one over the 12 and making the
Yeah.
decision. And the 12 is including Kenneth Walker.
How can that even be justified? Like, how, how can there be no one, the governor, like nobody? I don't know history that well to know the power structure of who can jump in and say no, we can't allow that to happen. But there has to be there has to be something in the system that says what y'all are doing are unjust and we can't allow this to happen. You got 12 witnesses that says they didn't announce themselves,
Yeah.
12 people, and then one person who says they did after being questioned 3 times and changing their statement, and that's the evidence we're going to use.
But I mean, because that's
It's the
that's how
narrative.
that's how the game works or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like we like to believe that it's not systemic or whatnot. We like to believe that there is justice for all and stuff like that or whatever. And the system itself is neither black, white, Mexican, Asian, none of that. The system itself is just a system. But when you put people in place that go to Klan rallies and stuff like that every now and then, and you have people that have been taught how to not give a damn about not just black people's life, but just human life in general. You know what I'm saying? Because they rich and they got money. They don't care. Like Trump don't give a damn. The racist white folks think Trump cares about them and he's doing something, but he doesn't. He doesn't care about you
None of
just as much as he don't care about us or whatever. So we're putting people in place like this to represent us, but they don't. They don't represent us. They don't represent the common people. They don't represent small business owners. They don't represent poor people. They don't represent the middle class. You know what I'm saying? They don't represent anybody or whatever. They only represent their personal interests. And it's in the interest of them to keep this facade as if the system is perfect. You know what I'm saying? It would only make too much sense to be like, well, look, this was a bad dude. Let's get him out of here or whatever. They can't even do that. You know, we've seen it over and over again where they can't even like the simplest thing. They can't even do it. Like they, say we got some bad apples. Well, what are you doing about these bad apples? You know what I'm saying? So basically, they paid her family $12 million, and I guess that was supposed to be that was the justice
A
that we
wrongful
all,
death.
yeah, that was the justice or whatever. So how does that don't even make sense? So how can she make? I mean, how can her family get the civil win in the civil case, but then lose in the criminal case? That doesn't make sense. That I mean, that reminds me of OJ or
Yeah.
whatever.
I can understand the different, them winning the civil, but I can't understand the
But
civil
how?
suit being for because it's totally different. So but my issue is that it was awarded for wrongful death. Now they could
But
have
that's what I'm
awarded it.
saying.
Yeah, so it's about how they awarded it is my issue. So you've already admitted that it's wrongful death. Now, if you would have given the 12 million for, oh, we probably should have rendered aid faster, or we should have given you the answers, or given, whatever they wanted to say, you know.
Yeah.
But when they admitted wrongful death, you've opened up a whole different can of worms there for me, you know.
And just for our listeners, where does that money come from? Where does that $12 million come from?
You already know.
Money they claim
You
they don't
already
never
know.
have. You, me, they say I don't know where it come
It
from.
come
They
from
got
it
it.
come from that money that they get that's supposed to be for resources. The budget that the police
And
department gets,
infrastructure and all of
that
this
that
other.
that exactly, that's where the money comes from.
Sorry. Oh, we
That's what
fucked up.
most of the
No, no,
Sorry.
no,
money.
no.
That's
That's
right.
what the
School
money's
districts.
for. That's what the
Messed
money's
up.
Yeah.
for.
You're
Where does the
right.
money come from?
Well, yeah, that's what the money's for.
Comes from us.
Yeah,
it comes from
exactly.
it comes from the regular folks. It comes from the poor folks. It comes from the racist folks. It comes from the Klan members. It comes from everybody. You know what
Well,
I'm
I don't
saying?
know about everybody. It come from a lot of the lower folks because a lot of people don't pay taxes and
Oh,
don't
they
pay those
they
things.
Exactly.
they pay. No,
Yeah.
everybody pays taxes.
No,
Even if yes,
everybody does not pay taxes.
everybody pays taxes. Yes, if you have a dollar and you spend that dollar, you're paying taxes. It doesn't matter. You're only looking at it from the income
We're
perspective.
not talking about from the literal sense of
I'm
paying
not talking.
taxes that way.
I'm
I
not
know
talking
what
about
you're
state.
saying, Damien,
Yeah.
but we're
Every,
talking about
every,
people who, like, when it's time to pay taxes. You know what I'm saying?
or
People
take
who
out
be
your
That's
check.
voting, yeah,
that's
stuff like that.
that's
I'm not
that's
talking
in,
about state sales tax. I ain't talking about
that's
that.
well, that's income taxes or whatever. I mean, we're taxed at multiple different levels or whatever. You can't just count
Over
income
again.
taxes as taxes.
Well, I'm gonna count the where the big money is. So the taxes that come out of your
It's
paycheck,
it's
the tax.
all it's all big money. Would you like to offer every sale of every candy bar? If you got 10 cents off of that, would you be okay? Would you be
Of course,
happy about that?
of course,
Are
I'd be
all
okay.
taxes created equal? Because that's really what we're talking
I
about.
just, I
We're
just know
talking
there's a
about
lot of
those
lawsuits we
taxes.
don't hear
Yeah,
about every day. So there's a lot of 10 million, 12 million, 1 millions that we hear about that don't make. I mean, that we don't hear about. So the
yeah,
money is stashed somewhere, and it comes from places we probably will never know.
Yeah.
And I don't believe all rich. They know how to get out of a lot of stuff. And
Oh, most definitely.
yeah, I don't know.
yeah. It is, and so not to. Well, we're not really shifting because it's all embedded in this conversation. I just kind of want to talk about voting and why it's important that we vote. And I'm not talking about, and I'm not, when I say important to vote, I'm not going to talk about my opinion about it. I want to talk about the facts of why it's important. So if you go back in history in this country for voting rights, for years African Americans didn't have the opportunity to vote. Even when they were not slaves, they didn't have the opportunity to vote. So they passed the 13th Amendment, right? Abolished slavery.
Yep.
And within the 13th Amendment, people don't realize it. If you haven't seen 13, I know y'all probably saw it, but if you're listening, you haven't seen the 13th on Netflix, you need to see that. Like that, that's like that should be a documentary that's like mandatory to be shown in schools across
I'm gonna
America.
check that out.
You know what I'm saying?
It's on Netflix.
Yes,
Yes.
by
I'm
Ava
surprised. I'm
DuVernay.
surprised you hadn't seen it, D, because I know you normally like see like all up on it, but I'm surprised you hadn't seen
Yeah.
that simply because it's been out for a while and it's been highly like touted or whatever.
Yeah.
So people don't realize that amendment, basically what it did, it allowed them to keep black people in slavery in their own way,
Right.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
shortly after the 13th Amendment, that's when the prison systems really started. That's when then they started building prisons. And guess who they fill those prisons up with? Black people. A lot of people don't know this, but when you're a convicted felon, you lose your right to vote. You lose your right to vote. For the most part. For
See
the
Yeah.
off
most
papers.
part,
I
you
Yeah.
lose your right to vote. And of course, when
I
you're
think
in
that's
prison, you can't vote.
yeah. I think that's in certain states though. I'm not
It is.
100% certain if that's
It's in certain.
nationwide.
It's certain
It's in
states,
certain
but
states.
once you're off of papers, you can vote again, even if you have
Yeah.
a felony.
Yeah. But when you're in prison, which is the main thing, you can't vote while you're actually serving your sentence.
Yeah.
So right now you got like half a million black people, about half a million black people in prison. Not in jail, in prison, that can't vote. All
Yeah.
right? So let's stop right there for that part. Then think about Think about the people who can vote that are not in prison from back in, for when we were allowed to vote. I'm not going to spit out the dates and stuff because I don't have all that in my head. I'm not a historian. But think about how hard it was for black people to vote. Why was it hard for black people to vote even though legally they had the right? Because you always had some white people who knew what was wrong and wanted to make it right, that could make it right if they were in position to.
Yeah,
Who would
straight
put
up.
those people in position to? Black people, and mixed with the white people that felt that same way. So what did they do? They killed black people who tried to vote. A lot of people don't know that if you were illiterate, you couldn't vote at one point. But white people who were illiterate, they could vote. You know why? Because the logic
Fathers.
because the logic behind it was they already were voting. So we can't take away their right to vote. But if you weren't voting before and you're illiterate, you can't vote. Black people weren't in school. They
Couldn't.
didn't
It
have
was illegal.
schools.
It was
It
illegal to
was
learn
illegal.
how
It
to
was
read.
illegal. It was illegal to learn how to read. So you couldn't vote. And I'm not going to keep going through all the different things that they've done. But if it wasn't important, if voting wasn't important, if voting didn't matter, when we were in the worst situation that we've ever been in as far as being black, being, hunted down, killed, murdered, when it was lawful to do so, and they didn't want us to vote, why in the hell would it not be important? Why would a group of people who have so much power in this country go through so much to keep us from voting? And now you black bastards who out there who saying voting don't matter, please, what is your logic behind why voting don't matter? When even to this day, they are still suppressing our right to be able to vote with the tactics they can use legally. They are still trying to stop us from getting to the polls. But y'all want to sit up here and say shit like, well, my vote don't count, voting don't matter. They all got no vote does matter because nobody goes through that length of trouble to stop a group of people from voting if it doesn't matter.
Right.
So that's why it's important to vote. Not because people are telling you, because history tells you that it's important. Simple as that.
Yeah, I agree, Capel. I totally agree.
Man, so the White House response to the decision, it says President Donald Trump offers sympathy. He said, "I think it's a sad thing, and I give my regards to the family of Breonna." And he also said, "I think it's so sad what's happening with everything else about the case, including the law enforcement. So many people suffering, so many people needlessly suffering." But he said that as far
But
as the
hold on,
police,
before you actually say the rest, hey, bro, that was a pretty good Trump impression.
That's
I ain't
pretty
gonna lie,
good.
that
I
was
knew
actually
I
pretty
knew
good.
exactly
Not
who it
not bad,
was.
man. Not bad. Give you kudos for that one.
so he's saying he's praying for the police officers who got shot. So he praying for the Breonna family. Well, he offers support in the form of prayer, and it's so sad what happened. But as far as the officers, the federal government stands behind you and is ready to help.
Help
So
by doing what though? Like training them to do the right thing, not
Mm-mm.
being racist, not
no, law
like
and
Which officers he
order.
talking about? The
like
officers
what?
that
Who are we
So
talking
we,
about?
we didn't mention it, but two officers were shot after the decision was made to charge that police officer
Yeah.
with wanton endangerment
Mm-hmm.
instead of charging him with murder. So two police officers were shot in Louisville. That's part of the fallout. And so, of course, people are still protesting this
Mm-hmm.
situation or whatever. So he's ready to come in and bring the federal and involve the federal government. Well, and involve I guess, the National Guard and the military and stuff like that in order to help them out to get order. But what about the law part? You know what I'm saying? Well, we're not going to uphold the law. Like this guy threatens our democracy. You know what I'm saying? It's already, our democracy is already trash. We already live under the guise of a democracy. He brings it to light that we really don't live under democracy. It's like a democratic, fascist, supremacist, communist state or whatnot. We don't just live under 100% democracy. Like, it's impossible. We've been shown too many times that it doesn't matter. If you have the money and the power in this country, you can pretty much do whatever you want to do. Uh, I don't know if y'all seen this, but Lori Loughlin was able to choose
Pick
what
which,
prison she wanted to
yeah,
go to.
I
Yeah.
saw that. I just like like you said, it's all about money and power and
Yeah.
influence. And if you know who you know, not what you know. And sometimes I just feel like, I do want to like find somewhere else to go. Like I need to move. I need to get out of this place, this state, this country, maybe this planet. Like
Straight up.
where else can you go? Because, I think wherever you live in the world, you're gonna have certain societal ills. And just
Right.
like this is ours right now
But
here in this country.
from what I hear, or from what I've been hearing for a long time, we only feel that way because that's what we've been taught. There's several other places where you can just go live a peaceful life and don't have to concern yourself with. Of course, I mean, because you're dealing with people, you already know in your household people have different thought processes, and your husband may want you to pick up your drawers off the floor, and you might be like, it's not a big deal, I can do it later. But just something that simple or whatever is just a conflict of interest, and you have to come together and you know what I'm saying, compromise or whatever. So when you're dealing with a million people, then you just got to do it even more. But there's a lot of places out there, a lot of countries where I feel like they just got it right. You know what I'm saying? As we all know, Akon is building a city in Senegal. I'm not saying that that's gonna be the Mecca, that's gonna be the perfect place to be, but it seems like he's headed in the right direction. There's Ghana, you know what I'm saying? There's plenty places or whatever that one could move to and not have to concern yourself with the foolishness, that's going on that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, that's true.
Or we can all
You know.
arm ourselves and take over here.
I
Because I
mean, this is
mean,
our home.
this is our home, and I mean, there's corruption in a lot of the places that are assumed paradise as well. So I just, and I also know that in a lot of places where we may be treated better is, and that's the thing. It's like treated better. It's
Hmm.
not necessarily always treated the same, or fairly. So I think it's going to be a time where we just got to be sick of this shit,
Yeah.
like, and the thing is, I just like with the Holocaust and everything, everybody dealt with their things, and I get it, and I don't necessarily think of what Black people had to endure better or worse, but we're the only people that no one wants to face and make reparations and atone, and we're going to continue. It's almost going. It's like we're continuously um, having to see, like, everything around us, subconsciously or consciously, reminds us that we're, inferior. Even when you think you're great, or you are the best, or you can do this. I was talking to my daughter today. We're in Missouri City, which is a part of outside of Houston, Texas,
Oh,
and
city.
around Sienna Plantation. And then when you look at you go down the street. Okay, this is Plantation Settlement. That's the name of this street. This is the name of this elementary school that you go to, and it's named after someone that owned a lot of slaves, and they own this plantation. And yet people say, get over it, but these are constant reminders. And even when you don't even know your history, it's ingrained in you. And it's a lot of things that people aren't. Um, and I'm not gonna, at this point. Yeah, there's some ignorant people out there, but this whole 2020 allowed me to see people just don't give a fuck. And I'm sorry to
Hmm.
keep saying that word, but that's how I feel, especially after this Breonna Taylor verdict. It's like they don't give a fuck. They know. We got Google. Everybody got Google now. I used
Hmm.
to have encyclopedias, and we had card catalog. We had to find shit. We got the shit in front of us. You just don't want to know.
Yeah.
You don't give a damn. You want to
Hmm.
Hmm.
stay where you are. You want me to get over it, you know? And it's got to be a point where we be like, just like y'all take over everything, because I bet you if tables would turn, everybody would be up in arms like they are now. Like I'm interested, um the election, I'm interested to see who wins. I feel like regardless of who wins, I really feel like it's about to be chaos, right? So Trump loses, these people are ready because they're already being told that if he
Yeah.
loses, it was rigged, right? So they
Yeah. How
ready
does
to.
how does that work? I'm about to run this race or whatever, but I'm already letting you know that they got some oil slick in my lane at the end. So, where I shouldn't, if I already know this, then then I shouldn't run the race, or I could call for some type of neutral ground or something like that or whatever. Like you already like that. That doesn't make sense. I was gonna say though, I don't. I know Capel know who Jamel Hill is. I don't know if y'all
Of
do.
of
Y'all know
course we
Jamel.
do.
So
Yeah.
she has an interview with Vlad where she's talking about different places. They both mentioned in different places and stuff like that or whatever, that are pretty cool to visit and go to and to possibly live in and thrive, not just live but thrive as well.
Right.
But I was thinking about her because she made a statement in reference to what you were saying, Ebony, or whatever, and a lot of people was mad at her. And I'm going to paraphrase, and people can be mad at me too. But she was saying that in Germany, there's no schools named after Hitler.
No,
You know
and
what I'm
that's
saying? And the
correct.
Luftwaffe and all this other kind of
Hmm.
stuff or whatever. There's no schools named after these terrible people or whatever. Jews aren't constantly reminded
Right.
about the situation and the oppression that they were placed in or whatever. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying?
Yep.
And there's no black people in this country that was just going around murdering white folks, and now we naming schools after them and
Right.
streets after them and stuff like
Right.
that or
We
whatever.
would never.
Mhm.
It's
That's
true.
madness.
Yeah.
So I know we close to time, but I do want to say if you when you vote, if you can, I know people are still worried about COVID and being in large groups and stuff, but if you can, please go to the polls.
And vote
Please
early.
go to the polls. And the reason why I say this is because it's just like everybody was
Oh,
saying, this is already been this is the Trump has set the stage to try to stay in office after the election. He's already doing it because he's already saying that mail-in votes is fraudulent. It's not the system. He knows that he's probably not going to get the votes to probably win. So he's trying to set the stage to be able to stay in office as long as possible. So the more votes we have at the ballot, the less that becomes a concern. So if you can go to the polls, please do.
hey,
If you have no choice, mail it in. But if you can go to
listen.
the polls, please do.
But look, as far as lines at the polls and stuff like that, man, we got some great people that have been putting on or whatever. Foot Action, Foot Locker, and Finish Line, which is all I think they're owned by Nike, right? Aren't they owned by like their
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
subsidiaries? I
I don't know.
believe so. Well, I know Foot Action owns, I think, Foot Locker and like Finish Line or whatever. They're opening up all of their stores during the voting process or whatnot and having polls in their store. You can vote from right out of their stores. In a lot of these cities, I think the NBA has also stated that they're going to open up arenas and
Yep.
allow people to come vote in these arenas or whatever. So you really have no reason to not vote. You have no reason to not
Yeah.
get out there and vote.
And can I make a comment about voting, especially voting in Texas? I mentioned on a previous show that legislature had created the law that now they ban straight ticket voting, where you would have to go down and vote for each person, and they knew that because they knew that people on a certain side don't do the research; they only vote for the top people. And they also knew that some people don't like to wait in line, certain demographics, and certain people are not going to take the time to go down and pick each person. So as of yesterday, a U.S. judge, and I actually think it may have been a judge that's from Lubbock or something like that,
Yeah.
um, is trying to go against that. So as of right now, they're trying to revert back to where you can do straight party. I personally never vote straight party. This election, I may do so because I really try to vote for the stuff that I really know and who I like. I don't want to just be Democrat or Republican, but if you have to, I just want you to vote. I don't want you to say just because I can't do straight ticket, don't vote. So as of now, that's been overturned. Now, who knows what's the next step and what we're going to do? But knowing that they don't want us to be able to have the easiness of voting straight ticket, that will make the lines even longer because it will take a lot of time to vote. So don't let that sway you. Please vote early. You have so many weeks to vote. Vote early. Don't wait till the day of. You ain't gonna be able to do it. The polls are gonna be closed down. The school that you thought you was voting at is gonna be closed. Somebody gonna have a COVID outbreak. We already know this. Don't even do it.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man, that they doing this right in our faces, man.
I always go
Right in our
early.
faces.
I always
Yeah.
go early. There's never, I'm not gonna say there's never a line, but I always go in. and vote early. And I don't always vote a straight ticket either. But I don't like to wait in lines either. So I mean, this every election that I've had to wait in line, I kept thinking to myself, I know I'm doing this because I have to. I'm doing this because I want better for my kids. I'm doing this because I want things to change. Like I had to keep reminding myself because there were a few times where I was like, I have to pee. I need to go. I'm tired. My feet hurt. Like there's so many things going through my mind. I was like, nope, I'm not gonna get out of this line. I'm gonna vote. And not all states offer early voting, but if yours does, there's no reason why you shouldn't. They're open, till like 7, I believe, and you can vote anywhere. At least here in Texas, you can. If you vote early, you don't have to
Yeah.
go to your main polling place.
Right.
You can go and vote anywhere if you vote early. So, and y'all are right. Trump is trying to set the stage so that no matter what the outcome of this election is, he has some type of recourse. That's why he wants so badly to fill that Supreme Court seat, so that when they do take it to court, after the election is said and done, and he loses, he can say, "Well, I'm going to court, to the Supreme Court." And he'll have the votes that he needs to have the election overturned or whatever it is he's trying to do, because he doesn't want to leave office. So it is so important to get out and vote. I can't even stress
Hey,
that enough.
so let me so all right, the article that I read before was inaccurate. So in effort to increase youth voter turnout, so this is for voter registration. I apologize. This is a Foot Locker. It includes Kids Foot Locker, Lady Foot Locker, Champs, and Foot Action locations. You can go there and register to vote. I apologize.
That's
That's
still
Yeah.
still
good though.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's still good. Well, that's all we got for today. Anything y'all want to say before we close out? Besides, go vote.
Ah,
Go vote,
man.
vote, 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 vote.
Stay safe out here, man. Stay safe out here.
Yeah.
Be vigilant. Protect yourselves. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, you never know who's the enemy, and they come in
Right.
all shapes and forms. So protect yourselves. Be careful.
And COVID is still real. I know social media will make you think it's not, because I thought it was over when I looked
Yeah.
at my IG stories and stuff, but it's still real. So protect yourselves that way too.
Yes, it definitely is real. Oh, and still like, share, subscribe. Acoustic Chef Podcast at gmail.com. We appreciate the listenership that we have. Help us push this information out.
Straight
This
up.
is. Oh, go ahead, Regina. Like you was about to say something.
I was just gonna say, do all of that. Definitely like, share, and subscribe. Especially share, because that's where the subscribes come from. But we appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening.
All right, it's Acoustic
All right.
Chef, and we out.
Peace out.